Hey folks, it's Erika again, and it's nice to have you back on my YouTube channel. What's the news? The news. We're constantly surrounded by news, and today I suggest we go over the question how to trade the news correctly. And sure thing, we will not forget about trading binary options. So make sure you watch this video up to the end. In the description below this video, you will find a link to my Telegram channel where you can ask me any questions. Besides, you will find a link to my private Telegram channel there, where I share my daily trading signals. Send me a direct message on my private Telegram channel and get my personal link to PocketOption registration, which will give you a 50% bonus on your deposit. Now, let's go to PocketOption and let's go trading. Here is the price chart of the Euro-US dollar currency pair. We will trade on it. I do not recommend opening trades without assistance. For example, I have 3 assistants today. These are indicators. With their help, I opened the first down trade for 1 minute with $300 in. It was the behavior of the Williams percent range indicator that helped me make such a decision, because its line, being in the overbought zone between the levels of 0 and -20, began a slight decline, which gave me a signal about a possible pricing decrease. In addition, the price chart was at the upper limit of the downtrend channel indicator, which could not be moved for 3 minutes, while there was a resistance level right there, which also confirmed the signal from the Williams and accordingly my decision. I think we can start our conversation, but I want to note right away, I would forbid beginners to trade on the news at all. They bring nothing but empty pockets and headaches to beginners. Let's take a break. Our trade was completed successfully and brought a profit of $276, and we're moving on. So, everything that beginners see on the market during important news can be roughly called like this. Oh, everything jumps. I'm going to jump with everyone. Remember, the news is not for beginners. Don't say you weren't warned. Although they will probably forget about it anyway. Why is the news not for beginners? I will answer. It is something extremely difficult to predict, the price movement which is pushed down by strong economic or political news. High-frequency robots are frolicking here, trying to grab their jackpot on seconds. But only a beginner would have a hard time. We will continue in a few seconds, and now we will open another down trade for 1 minute with $300 in. The Williams line moved down coming out of the overbought zone, and this is a good signal about the possible continuation of the price decline. Why am I said? Now we can return to the conversation. Why does a person have a hard time? Because the price on strong news often demonstrates completely chaotic behavior. The price rushes up and down, shows wild shadows and long candles that fly everywhere they want. In addition, there may be problems on the technical side. Transactions often do not go through, constant slippage, you enter at one price and the transaction opens at another. Terminals get frozen and are stupid. Remember, news trading has extremely many risks. And our trade was completed again and brought us another $276 profit. Although this time the completion of the trade was exciting, but you've seen it all to yourself. Moving on, despite all the risks of trading on the news, beginners continue to jump on this news train, as if there were promised mountains of gold there. Of course, if you have common sense, you can squeeze your profit out of the news. But you should always keep in mind the risks of the process. Now let's analyze the news to trade. Since only the most important news strongly affect the market, the rest can be ignored. Of course, the key news of the world is data on the American economy. And why? We will find out in a minute, and now we will open another down trade for 1 minute with $300 in. Why down? Watching the Arun indicator, I saw that its lines began a synchronic decline, moving parallel to each other. Such a state of this indicator indicates the presence of consolidation in the market, or in other words, lateral movement. So, within this movement, the price moves up and down within a certain corridor. And Since the signal of consolidation began to form in the area of the upper border of the Johnson indicator, I assumed that the corridor of lateral movement could be just between the upper and the lower borders of the Johnson indicator. And, as it was seen on the chart, the price has not reached the lower limit yet, so I expect it to further decline. And as you can see, I was not mistaken, another $276 added to our balance. Moving on, so the key news of the world is data on the American economy, because the US dollar is still the key reserve currency on the planet. There are only 5 main news that always affect the market: NFP, non-farm payroll, change in the number of people employed in the non-agricultural sector, FOMC meetings, Federal Committee on Open Market Operations, trade balance data, and CPI, Consumer Price Index, and finally, data on retail sales. In addition, we're also interested in data on interest rates, any meetings of the US Central Bank, data on inflation in the US, geopolitical news, wars and disasters, data on the US GDP. Now, which currencies can you trade on this news? More on that later. Because now I see a great moment again and I open another 300 down trade for 1 minute. In essence, the situation has not changed here. The market is consolidating. The price is high. In addition, the Williams line is moving down. All these data gave me a signal about a possible continuation of the price decline. Let's watch it. At the same time, we will continue our conversation. So, trading the news, respectively, is necessary for those currency pairs that have dollar, since they are the most liquid currency pairs and the news affects them first of all. These are major currency pairs, of course. They are the ones that are traded most often on the news. Let me remind you about them. The Euro-US dollar currency pair, British pound US dollar, US dollar Japanese yen, US dollar Swiss franc, US dollar Canadian dollar, Australian dollar US dollar. We see the completion of our trade and $276 which were added to our pocket. Next, let's look at a few simple rules that will allow you to survive in the news trading. The 15-minute rule. It is very simple. We do not trade 15 minutes before the news release and 15 minutes after it. This is considered, by the way, a more risky interval. The 30-minute rule is more conservative. However, it allows you to capture part of the frenzied movement that the news gives to the market, but in a calmer form, because some time have already passed. This means that, having determined the important news, you just need to wait and enjoy the picture of how the price acts differently through the chart. Shocking beginners to binary options. 15 minutes after the release of the news, as a rule, there is a pullback against the news trend. Those who wanted to played enough, the rest cautiously feel their reversal. However, it is often short-lived. Before continuing, I will open an up trade for 1 minute with $300 in. The price could not fall to the level I expected, instead it went up. At the same time, the Williams line was also growing, which indicated a possible continuation of growth. Let's not reject this and follow the price. Well, now moving on, the next rule is the rule of 30 minutes. Generally, before the release of a certain news, the market comes to a consensus and focus on the forecast. However, an hour or half an hour before the news, the real madhouse begins. Everyone starts speculating on these expectations, selling, buying, the prices are twitching here and there, and it is completely unclear what to do with it. That's what the rule is used for. Half an hour after the news was released, the main speculators calm down, the price begins to come to its senses, but still has a good momentum for movement, on which you can ride. And another trade was completed successfully and added the usual $276 to our balance. Let's not interrupt the conversation, but rumors sell facts. This is the most important key principle of news trading. It is hard for beginners who do not understand the essence of what is happening with the price before the release of the news and the announcement of real data. Conditionally, news trading can be divided into three types: before the news release, the release period, and after the news release. It is not so important what exactly happens to the price during these periods. It is much more relevant whether the movement against the older trend is visible or not. If we are in a growing market, then investors are waiting for the release of a positive news and have focused on this. At the same time, the release of negative news against strong positive expectations will lead to the fact that these expectations can simply swallow the news and the market will not notice it. Meanwhile, I am opening another down trade for 1 minute with $300 in. The price rose again, but despite this, the Williams line began to decline. This behavior of the indicator was a signal for me about a possible reversal and, accordingly, a decrease in the price. I propose to consider how the news works. The whole process of news perception by the market can be divided into the following stages: waiting, opening before the news, everything is ready, news output. How to make money on this? If you have ever seen the price chart during the news release, I think you'll agree that it's scarce. Candles, their length, the lack of clear indications for entry. This is the difficulty of news trading, and if you don't know exactly what to do, don't do that. Do not enter into trades during important news at this time of their announcement. And another trade ended with a profit for us and brought us $276. The topic of trading the news is very extensive, and you will see its continuation in the next videos because our trading session has ended and I am ready to have a look at the results. It only took us 11 minutes to make 6 successful trades, which brought us a $1,656 net profit. A nice result. As you can see, the news is a complicated thing, and skipping it may be the most reasonable thing to do. If you're not willing to do so, learn how to catch the hype of the crowd long before the news comes out. For this is how the market works, based on expectations and assumptions. What happens at the time of the news release is often of no importance, since those who wanted to profit from this news have already done so in advance, because they act on emotions and expectations, not hard and cold facts. I do hope the information you got today will help you make money on binary options. At the end of the day, it's only practice that can teach you understand the market. That said, if you're not experienced enough, this is essential that you carefully assess the current market situation before entering a trade. By and large, I recommend you to use the indicators whose signals you can read, for this helps reduce the risk and make profit in the long term. I would like to encourage you guys to keep trading binary options because, as we can see, the analysis techniques are super simple here. And before we say goodbye, in the description below this video you will find a link to my Telegram channel where you can ask me any questions you have. You will also find a link to my private Telegram channel there where I share my daily trading signals. And there's more to that. If you direct message me on my private Telegram channel, you will receive a personal link to the PocketOption registration, which will give you a whopping 50% bonus to your deposit for free. Now, dear friends, this is a pretty nice offer. Thank you for being with me all this time. I hope you enjoyed this video. And if you did, please give it a thumbs up for the YouTube algorithm. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't done so yet, and smash the notification button so you don't miss a thing. That's about all for today. Good luck in the market. Take care, folks, and see you soon in the next video.